In a flashback, an unknown man gets tied to a chair and Monokuma presses a button, forcing the man into a rocket ship. The rocket doors slam closed and flies up into space. Once it crashes back to Earth, all that remains is a skeleton. In the present day, we meet Makoto Naegi, the winner of a Japanese lottery to attend the prestigious Hope's Peak High School. This feat has earned him the title of the super lucky student. Eventually, he takes his first steps into the school, only for the world to begin to warp before his eyes. He later wakes up falling unconscious and finds a note instructing him to gather in the school's gym for the entrance ceremony, where he meets his 14 classmates. In turn, he meets Yasuhiro, Hifumi, Kiyotaka, Junko, Chihiro, Celestia, Mondo, Leon, Aoi, Sakura, Tuko, Byakuya, Kyoko, and finally Sayaka, who Makoto realizes due to attending the same junior high school. A voice then begins speaking, so a black and white bear appears. He introduces himself as Monokuma, the school's headmaster, and tells the students they can only leave if they end someone. Understandably, the students are confused and shocked by this revelation and begin shouting at him for an explanation. Mondo, furious, grabs him by the throat, but Monokuma tells him that this is against school rules. This violation of rules prompts Monokuma to explode, which would have destroyed Mondo had he not listened to Kyoko's instruction. Seconds later, another Monokuma appears, telling them that if any more rules are broken, they would be punished. The students are then left questioning whether they really did have to end each other and if they can trust one another. As such, they try to find a way to escape, although none of them were successful. Byakuya announces that he would be searching alone, which infuriates Mondo, so he squares up to fight him. Unfortunately, Makoto is knocked unconscious after trying to intervene. He then wakes up with Sayaka by his side. She explains that he had been carried here and that she had volunteered to stay with him. Sayaka insists that she will be Makoto's assistant from now on as they work to find a way out. After Mondo and Makoto forgive one another, the students share information during their investigations. The futuristic exit doors sealed, the stairways locked with iron bars, each student equipped with their own bedroom, and that the kitchen is fully stocked with no risk of starvation. The next day at a second meeting, Monokuma gatecrashes and reveals a DVD for each of them in the AV room. There, they find a room full of monitors and find a labeled DVD for each of them. Makoto then watches his DVD, finding a scene of his family congratulating him at his new school. Suddenly, the scene shows the room destroyed and his family nowhere to be seen. Horrified, Makoto looks to his other students, finding Sayaka in a state of severe shock. She then begins screaming and flees the room, pursued by Makoto. Upon catching up to her, Makoto reassures her that if they all work together, they will all be able to escape, promising her that he will get her out. Sayaka throws herself into Makoto's arms and wailed while the other students watched on. Makoto then takes some time to check out his room in closer detail. After reading a notice on his bathroom door, he learned that the water would be turned off each night at 10 p.m., and that he had a toolkit in his desk drawer, while only girls' bathroom doors had locks. After trying to get into his bathroom, he realized that the door was faulty and difficult to open, and as such, Monokuma appeared to teach him the trick to opening it. After Monokuma left, Sayaka appeared at his door, frightened and telling him that someone had tried to force their way into her room. Thus, Makoto agreed to switch rooms with her in order for her to feel safer and know he isn't a simp. The next morning at the breakfast cafeteria meeting, Sayaka was notably missing. Fearing the worst, Makoto fled back to his room where he discovered it was trashed. He checked the bathroom and found Sayaka's body with a knife embedded in her stomach, so Makoto screamed and passed out. Sometime later, Makoto awoke in the gym after being carried there by Sakura. There, the students had all gathered in the gym at Monokuma's insistence, where he teaches them additional killing game rules and how the process of class trials work, including executions. If the students are unable to identify the culprit will walk free, and the other students will be executed. If the students identify the culprit, then the culprit will be the one executed. Meanwhile, Junko protested, refusing to take part in the trial. This angered Monokuma, and he charged at her, but Junko just stepped on him, pinning him down. Monokuma reminded her that violence against the principal is against the rules and summons the spears of Gungnir out of thin air. Nevertheless, Junko is hit by multiple spears, all causing her to fall to the ground, lifeless. The students were shocked, but realized that they were going to be forced to investigate Sayaka's death, or else they would meet the same fate. Later, the students learned from their e-handbook that Sayaka perished in Makoto Naegi's room, which immediately made him the prime suspect. However, Makoto and Kyoko found the knife that ended Sayaka, discovered her wrist was broken, that she had gold flakes from the katana, and found numbers written on the wall. When investigating the incinerator room with Hifumi, Makoto found a shattered crystal ball and a piece of cloth. Kyoko then realized that Makoto and Sayaka's dorm room nameplates had been switched, Finally, Makoto found Sayaka's motive DVD in the trash can. So he played the DVD in the A/view room. First, Sayaka is shown performing with her idol group, but the scene suddenly transitions to her bandmates on the floor, apparently ended. Monokuma, narrating, told Sayaka that she had no place to return if she ever left school and left her with a question of what happened to her bandmates. Eventually, after a Monokuma announcement over the monitors, the students then headed for the class trial room. As the trial begins, swimmer Aoi Asahina testifies that she and martial artist Sakura Ogami witnessed Sayaka enter the kitchen, during which the kitchen knife used in the murder went missing. Meanwhile, Kyoko proves Makoto's innocence by pointing out that since the boys' shower rooms don't have locks, he wouldn't have needed to dismantle his own doorknob to enter the shower room. After wondering how the culprit entered the room in the first place, Kyoko presents evidence which reveals Sayaka had purposely invited someone into the room in order to murder them and pin the crime on Makoto, only to wind up as the victim herself. Remembering the message written in blood, Makoto deduces that 11,037 is an upside-down spelling of Leon and accuses baseball star Leon Kuwata of the crime. His guilt is further proven by the method of which the culprit attempted to dispose of the evidence, his blood-stained shirt, in a manner only capable of a baseball star. When it is deduced that he must have used his tool set to take apart the doorknob, Leon is unanimously voted as the guilty culprit and is executed by Monokuma with a barrage of baseballs. Later that night, Kyoko consoles Makoto by theorizing that Sayaka may have written her dying message in order to protect him. After the ordeal, Makoto mourns the deaths of Sayaka, Junko, and Leon after the first-class trial. Following the day after, Monokuma grants the rest access to the second floor of the academy, where there's a library and a swimming pool. Whilst the rest search the newly opened floor, Byakuya and Kyoko come across a school laptop that won't turn on. Meanwhile, Makoto in his search comes across a letter which clarifies that Hope's Peak Academy has shut down school operations. Unaware of what this means, they put the knowledge aside for later. As all the students start pooling into the library, they begin discussing the destruction game once more, Chihiro exclaiming that she doesn't like it, leading to Byakuya sneering that everyone had voted to end Leon themselves. Kiyotaka then attempts to stop Mondo from lashing out, only leading to the bikers storming out of the library. Thus, multiple people begin leaving and Tuko confesses she has no trust for anyone. Regardless, Aoi offers to take a dip in the pool to relax, inviting a hesitant Chihiro along with Sakura and Celestia. However, Monokuma explains that e-handbooks are required to get in and are specified to the designated gender only, or else the offender will be shot down. Later that night, Makoto comes across Tuko in the library, watching Byakuya with a love-struck expression. He orders her to leave him alone and claims she smells so bad that he can sense her. Dejected, Tuko agrees and Makoto tries to assure her that Byakuya's manners were never the best. But she reveals that she and Byakuya are the perfect couple, so she skips back to her room happily, leaving a shocked Makoto behind. Later, Makoto is dragged to judge a battle of endurance in the sauna. Makoto eventually leaves them behind to wrap up the competition, where the two boys end up bonding. The next day, Monokuma reveals that he will announce everyone's darkest and most embarrassing secrets unless someone is ended within 24 hours. However, Makoto believes no one would do such a thing over something so petty, since his darkest secret is when he wet his bed. Despite his thoughts, he wakes up to an announcement that someone has died overnight. He then ends up the girls' locker room, and there they find Chihiro strung up. Kiyotaka appears soon after the two find her, and the discovery leads to the rest of the students filing inside. During investigation, several peculiarities are found, such as her missing e-handbook, her method of ending, a missing coffee stain, and a testimony from Celestia claiming she ran into Chihiro the night before. This prompts Byakuya to reveal that this must be the work of Sho, so he leads Makoto into the confidential files room, where they find nearly everything about Chihiro matches up to the descriptions of Sho's victims. Regardless, Aoi retrieves the two and explains that Tuko locked herself in her room and refuses to come out unless Byakuya is there. She then shakily apologizes and exclaims that she won't allow Sho to add her to her body count. This sends Aoi panicking, but Makoto looks at Byakuya, where he appears completely calm, as if he knows what Tuko is talking about. Once this is over, Monokuma announces that the second-class trial will start, thus everyone gathered in the trial room for the destruction of Chihiro Fujisaki.